Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. And welcome, John.
Thank you for having me. This is a great opportunity, and I love Koala, everything I've seen with it and worked with it so far. It's much better than
We're
Zoom.
super happy to have you, John. And we've heard a lot about Flip the Classroom many times, and I know that you don't do a lot of webinars. You're usually focused on building your content, so we really appreciate that you're taking some of your precious time to go chat with us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, good to get exposure out there. I'm still growing. It's definitely still a work in progress, as most of you know, who's already a subscriber. I have approximately 110 lessons up right now, but trying to add more all the time. Takes a long time, as I'm sure all of you know, if you've done any of your own prep. Each lesson for me, it takes a little over 5 hours to do. So it's a lot of work, but hopefully it's helping other teachers, and down the road, it keeps on growing. That's my plan.
So we're going to talk today about your content and how to use it in Koala Go, especially if you have students on iPad, and we'll walk you through all this. But before we get to that, John, do you mind giving an introduction of yourself to like what your story is, when you started teaching, and why you moved to content creation, what the context was? We'd love to hear that.
So I am, as most of you know now, I'm from Canada, and I had moved out to Vietnam about 5-6 years ago, and I was teaching out there online I was working for Landy and VIP Kid. And so I had taught with them for a long time. And as everyone knows what happened with China changing the rules, got laid off. And of course, this happened at the worst time with COVID and everything. So I was basically in a foreign country, limited money, had to move back to North America because of the lockdowns and visa situations in Vietnam. And while coming back, I was like, what am I going to do now? And I decided to start trying to snipe some of my students from VIP Kid and decided to start teaching them on the side. So I started making lessons with Genially, and the reason I chose Genially over PowerPoint and other options like Google Slides is just kind of the more animations and the options that you can do to them. I think it's a little...
Sorry, I interrupted you, John. I was just curious, why did you choose to create your own content rather than using existing content?
Yeah, well, as everyone knows, there's quite a few options out there. Learnaling was one that really caught my eye because it's very clean, and they actually use Genially as well. And so I was using Learnaling for a little bit. And what I thought, though, is I kind of wanted my own little style in there. So when I went to school, I did a lot of visual kind of stuff. I went to entrepreneurship school to create my own business. So that kind of works out now. And I focus mainly on making things look good, and especially being a visual learner myself, I found a lot of lessons, they just didn't quite pop to me. And especially in this day and age with a lot more students learning on iPads and on computers from their homes, there's so many other distractions in the room. And if I could bring in, GIFs or GIFs, however you want to say, or videos, different things that might keep the students a little more focused on the lesson, that was my goal. So just myself wanting to create something that was a little more visually appealing to my students and a little bit of me in there, I guess. And so, yeah, it's been a lot of work so far. I'm currently going back to some older lessons that I had done, because if you notice, some of the older ones, I think they could use a little update. Like when I first started creating the graphics, I had purchased some different just characters and animations and everything that now I'm not too happy with. So I'm going back, I'm switching those up, I'm changing some formatting and some errors too. That something that I was doing for too long was like with nouns. I was capitalizing the nouns when I'd introduce them, but I'm going back, I'm fixing all this now. So give a better product to all the teachers out there.
How many hours you spend like in a given week on average creating content?
I would say probably over 50 hours a week.
Wow.
Easily. So it's not even just that, it's, of course, when I make a lesson, I have to load it onto the website. I had to create the website. So teaching myself how to do all these things. Same thing with Photoshop. So where I get my graphics from, I have to take out the background. I have to change some things in them. So of course, all of this takes time, which, yeah, when I started doing this, I was just doing it for myself and for my students. And I was just like, this is a nightmare for how many students I have. It's really not worth it, how much extra time I'm putting in on the side compared to my hourly wage. So with
Yeah.
that, I was like, well, if I'm in this struggle, other teachers are obviously going to be in it too. So maybe I could help them, and we could kind of help each other build up a nice little community.
Nice. Well, thank you for doing this. And I'll just follow up by saying that the Koala team, we also thought the Genially content was really great, but we heard from your community and from several communities that it was a little bit frustrating, as most students had iPads that they could not really interact with the interactive components of Genially. So, and it's around that time that that insight really shaped what Koala Go is. Is really designed to go hand in hand with Genially content, in order to allow students on iPad, when you're doing a remote class, your students on iPad, allowing your students to drag and drop component and to make the thing more interactive without needing to share remote control over Zoom, and supporting Chromebooks and iPads as well. So I'd love to show you Fred, who's with us today, shot a very short 90-second video that shows how to use specifically the Flip the Classroom content in Koala. So in Koala Go. So I'll start, if that's okay with everybody, I'll start by showing this real quick.
Great video.
I hope
So,
this was helpful.
As I had said, so one thing I noticed, and I'm sure all you teachers noticed, is that some of all the nouns there, they were all capitalized. So I'm going back and I'm changing all of those in those lessons, because yeah, it's just my mistake, and long hours, and especially I'm a teacher on the side as well. So, but we're getting there. We're correcting those mistakes.
So we're going to get started on the training, and then John, you'll be able to show us the Flip the Classroom content as well. We can go through some slides. But before we do this, do you guys have any questions for us?
So my question is, I'm very new to Koala, so I've been just kind of playing with it the last couple days. I use Flip the Classroom for the fun games and interaction. So when I go to Koala, Teach with Koala, and I have my account, I'm there, and then at the bottom it says Control, Just You, but then it says Student North America. So depending on where my student is from, I would choose where they're from.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we created several servers to reduce the amount of latency when you use the service. So it's a good practice to choose the server that's the closest to your students.
And I think just on that too, so I was using Zoom for the longest time, and what I noticed, especially with so many more graphics and GIFs and videos, that what I'm seeing is a little behind, of course, from my Chinese students. And so there's a little bit of a disconnect there. But with Koala, it seems to be it's same time, basically.
Faster? Okay.
Yeah.
There was a question from Catherine. Is Flip the Classroom John's website?
Yes. So I have some people that I contract some work out to right now. I would love to get more help, of course, but with that, I need to grow more. So basically, it's me doing almost everything at the moment. So lessons, I'm the web designer, I'm doing it all. But with any small business, you got to take baby steps. And so we're heading into the right directions, I think. And yeah, I have another teacher, Megan, who does the homework. So she's working on it when she can. She's a parent and a teacher as well. So she's very busy. But that's why it's they're usually released a little bit later than when I upload the lessons.
We'll show you right now how to get started with Koala Go and how to open the Flip the Classroom content in Koala Go. I know for some of you, it's something you're very familiar with, but for some of you, you're Flip the Classroom experts, not Koala experts, or vice versa. But if you're starting from scratch, I encourage you to replicate the steps we will show you today, so that by the end of this training, you're all ready to go and you can keep using Koala and Flip the Classroom if you want to. So step one is very simple. You open a browser. We recommend to use Chrome. For teachers, we encourage you to use a PC or Mac. We're working on adding iPad and Chromebook support for teachers. It's already supported for students. So step one, open a browser and you will type teach with koala.com and hit enter. This is the Koala website, and the button to open Koala Go is right here at the top. So you can simply click on Open Koala Go in browser. The first time you click on Open Koala Go in browser, you just sign in or sign up. It's the same thing in our world. If you have a Gmail address, I encourage you to click on this button. It will make your life easier. If you don't have a Gmail address, go ahead and put your email in, sign in, and it will send you a link in your inbox that you can click and that will log you in. On my end, I'm just going to click on the G and log in with my email. So once again, go to teachwithkoala.com, click on the big button at the top, and then log in with your email, either Gmail or another email. What you see on my screen right now is what's remaining from my French class, because I teach French every Thursday. So I was just teaching an hour ago, a little girl in Estonia. Cool. So yeah, so this is the whiteboard, the interactive whiteboard where you can draw, you can create sticky notes, create text boxes. It's fully interactive, fully collaborative. I'm not going to get into this at this time. I would like to show you another feature of Koala Go, which is the co-browser. To open the co-browser, or also called shared browser, I'm going to click here. And then, so here you have an interactive browser. It's a browser that runs in a server and that streams to you and to your students. And that allows both you and your students to collaborate on the content. So here you see I have a browser and I can close tabs. You can see the work I was doing here. I'm using this a lot for my French classes. This is, I think, actually a French class, French Genially class, because I use Genially a lot to teach my classes. What you can do is copy outside of Koala and paste inside. So here, you know this, Control-C, Control-V on Windows, Command-C, Command-V on Mac. So right now I just did Command-C outside of Koala Go, and I copied the link to one of the slides that John sent me. And here I can simply go in the URL bar at the top and paste the link. And it will open the slides. Now, so far, I'm alone, right? And of course, I'm in the browser and I can move to the next slide, etc. But the interesting piece about Koala Go is that you can make this interactive slides multiplayer. You can invite your student and both play with the slides. How do I do that? To do this, so I'm going to close this. And now at the top left, you can see invite students. And if I click on invite students, my camera is going to turn on, as you can see here, and I get a link that I can share with my students. It says share this link with your student. And this link never changes. This link is my student invite link. If I have 100 students, they all have the same link. It's this one to join my class. And if you just click on it, it will say copied to clipboard. So it's now copied and you can save it somewhere else. Now is the time where I will ask if someone here has an iPad and wants to be my student for this demo. There we go, Johnny's here already. We have a help button in the bottom right here. So if you have any problem, click on this help button and you can put your email and send a message. We have people 24/7 to help you out if you have any question, okay? All right, my student is right here. I'm going to click on accept. She's currently in a waiting room playing a little game for students. But as soon as I click on accept, my student will join. There we go. Awesome. So now I have a student, I'm in Koala Go. Let's go back to the shared browser. So I go to the shared browser, and now, as you can see in the bottom right of those fantastic Flip the Classroom slides, I can see who controls. Just me, the teacher, or myself and my student, Johnny. So if I click on me and Johnny, we now both have control over this. So let's say we want to go to the game, and then we want to go to do this animal race. What's really cool right now is that as a teacher, I can drag and drop, let's say this guy, while you, Johnny, you can drag and drop, maybe try to drag and drop the little pig, to anywhere you want. So we can both interact with those components simultaneously. We should actually be able to do it at the same time, even. Nice. Cool. So it makes things more fun. And of course, the sound is also shared. So I can, if there is sound embedded in the Genially slide, both Johnny and I will hear it. And if you want to play a YouTube video, it will be synchronized and you will both have the sound.
So when I was doing this earlier, it just had just me, but you said, I can't see Zoom now, so I don't know what your screen is. So once the student enters, then there will be the additional drop down for just the student. Okay, but not until they enter.
And I'll send you the recording of this, but that's exactly right. Like now that I have you in the room, in the drop down under control, I see two options. Option one is just you, and option two is you and Johnny. So if your students right now, I mean, I'm set to Europe. I think by default it chose Europe because right now I'm in France visiting my family. But considering that Johnny are you in North America, Johnny?
I'm North America.
So I can choose North America. It will be functional if I choose Europe or even if I choose Asia, but the latency will be optimized if I choose a server that is closer to the student. So it will just change the server. One quick thing I'd like to show is that I have an annotation tool also at the bottom, which was what Emily was mentioning earlier. So I can draw on top of this slide. So whatever I'm drawing right now, Johnny sees as well. And Johnny can also use the drawing tool at the bottom. Do you guys have, I see in the chats some questions. When I click on the browser icon, a text box appears that says your pro trial access is expired and asks me to upgrade. When I click on upgrade, I don't have the option to use the free plan. Okay, yeah, thank you for bringing this to our attention. So Koala Go has a free version that allows you to do most things. However, this co-browser feature is something that we pay for. We're actually partnering with a company called Hyperbeam, and they're building this co-browser. And it cost us a little bit of money. So therefore, the way this works is that you'll have, when you sign up for Koala Go, you'll have 2 weeks unlimited access to the co-browser. But after 2 weeks, you will lose access unless you upgrade to a Koala Go Pro package, which costs $15 per month if you commit annually, $19 per month if you commit month by month. If you get that package, you'll have unlimited access to the co-browser and other cool features that I can show later. The mission of Koala is to make independent online tutors financially successful so that they can you guys can one day buy a house doing what you love. And we realized that there's two main challenges to being an independent online tutor: getting new students and keeping your students. Because you're running a business, you need that income and you want more new students and you want to keep them forever. We've built a tool that also gamifies the whole experience for young learners, which is the reward tool. You can give rewards to your students by clicking on the little star here. And Johnny's been doing a really good job, so I'm going to give her 5 stars. Once your student gets 5 stars, you can go to Playground. So let's go to Playground. So I'm right now in this little gamified world that we call Playground, where I have a little avatar that can move around. This is my avatar. And we can see Johnny's avatar. I know it's a little bit confusing, but I have a girl avatar and Johnny has a boy avatar. We can move around. You can see those little seeds here. I can collect seeds by walking on them. You see the number of seeds in the top left increases. And then, oh, there's a little egg here that just hatched with a little squirrel that comes out of it. So this is, you see the timer at the top. This is something that you have only access to for 2.5 minutes. The goal of this is to bond with your students, to give them some like a brain break, but also an opportunity to connect and to get them to beg their parents to come to the class with you next week. You can do a lot. We're adding new features to Playground and to Koala every 2 weeks. So you'll see there's some cool stuff coming soon. But right now what you can do is collect those seeds and then click on the little tree and use a seed to plant a tree, which will then grow and generate more seeds.
I personally, I love the Playground idea. Just like you said, a way to get away and kind of have some fun outside of the classroom. I'm excited to see where it goes because, a lot of students and parents and teachers, we all love probably Animal Crossing. So it's very reminiscent of that, I would say. What I commonly hear, of course, it's great that, we can now do whatever you call it, sorry, with the mouse and the cursors and everything. But for some of my students who I couldn't do that with before on Zoom, I would use that as an opportunity to teach, like, okay, where is it? Up, down, is it left, is it right? And kind of use that as an extension for teaching. And the Playground seems like a great spot that you can do that too.
John, I know that you're working on a lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool ESL content. Do you want to maybe share? And I know you had prepared some screen sharing, etc. Do you want to tell us maybe about what you're working on and what's coming?
So, of course, just making new lessons for each unit. One of the most common questions I get is, when am I starting on either higher units or level 1? I know it's odd that I started at level 2. The reason I did that is because when I had done early polls, I asked teachers, and of course, when you join the Facebook Flip the Classroom group, what lessons or levels that you're interested in. And majority were in that little middle area. So that's why I started there. Right now, as I'm still basically working on this part-time but full-time hours, it's taking a lot longer to make lessons until I can focus on this as a full-time job, of course. And once I do that and I can start perhaps getting some outside help, lesson creation should be much easier, as I can have someone do the initial planning for it instead of it all coming down to me and allocate some of these things. Down the road, I would like to add in eventually voice-over options for students. So right now you can send a lesson preview link to the students. And this is kind of the whole idea behind a flipped classroom. That's why I called it that. And it's that the students begin by teaching themselves, basically. They go through the material before class. Of course, not all students will do this, but typically parents, if they have this option, they're going to try and get them to. And so what this does is it just creates in their mind, they're learning and they're teaching themselves how to learn, which will make your jobs as teachers better in the classroom. So basically, it's almost a little more of a review. And ideally, I would have little, when they look at the words, and if they don't know how to say it, they'll be able to click and they'll hear a voiceover. So that's something that I really want to add in. For that, of course, I don't want to be the one, and I'm sure you don't want to have my voice. It's not the best voiceover sound in the world, I think. So I would do some outside.
Don't undersell yourself, John.
I do get some professional people to do that, which of course will cost money. For me to justify that, I do need to grow more in subscribers. So There's that. Something I'm thinking about changing right now is I have all the games right at the end of every lesson. And I started off making them all specific for each kind of lesson with different places you can click for the words or sentences that were in that lesson. But since I started doing that, I changed it because I personally found as a teacher, it's better to use that as an opportunity to use my own flashcards or my own kind of rewards to bring in for these moments. So they roll, they move across the board, they land on, the question space. I have the questions that I can ask them. So that's why I'm going back now as well to work on flashcards for all the lessons. So that's another exciting thing I'm glad to be introducing, not only all for you, but also for myself, especially too with Koala. I find I can put those up, like you can just drag and drop the flashcards right into the home screen of Koala. And so I can then create little buttons to cover up the word. And then, if we have some extra time or even just before class, go through them and try and have them practice that. So lots of ideas for extensions coming up. And one thing as well is I do want to start adding in more game options as well. So start creating games that you could use for any level. And like I said, you'll be able to just have any student from any level come in, play this game, and we'll have little question marks for, answer a question or ask a question, or little stars for you to collect and to kind of make your own. Honestly, that's some of the ideas that I have coming up here.
Let me do a quick summary of what we covered, because I know we covered a lot of ground. Step 1, teachwithkoala.com. Step 2, you click on Open Koala Go in browser. Step 3, you're immediately in there. You click on Shared Browser. That's step 4. And then you simply paste in the URL bar here at the top the link to the Genially slide that you want to use with your students. To invite your students, step 5, I need to close this, so I'm going to click on the cross at the top right and click on Invite Students. As soon as I do this, I get my student link. And that's it. And then, you can always give control in the bottom here to your students. They will show up if they're in the room with you. Koala is not perfect. We launched it 3.5 months ago. We push an update every 2 weeks. We try to listen, and I know some of you have been using Koala Go almost since the beginning. Emily, I think you're one of them. Wendy also. Kathy, I know you're starting. But we know we're not perfect, and we try. Our goal is really to serve you, and it's by listening to you and hearing your inputs that we improve the product. So we're a small team, we're 9 people, but we try to go as fast as we can by listening to your feature request. So if there's anything that we can do to help you, please let us know. We have a Facebook group for the Koala community where you're absolutely welcome. I'm going to paste the link here. And please let us know if we can help. There's a help icon in the bottom right in Koala Go. We can try to jump on a call with you right away and help us get better. Don't go easy on us. You are helping us building a better product.
I just want to say that the difference in the last 6 weeks is unbelievable. Like, I'm impressed every week when I get on, and there are new things to help us, and the experience for the kids is more streamlined. It is amazing how fast you guys are making everything so much better.
Thank you so much, Wendy.
So Wendy was just having a question. She kind of wants to see some more about Flip the Classroom. So would I be able to share my screen and go through?
Absolutely.
So this, of course, is just one of the lessons here that I worked on not too long ago. So this one's all about family. What you find with the lessons is that I, having come from VIP Kid over, most of my students were all VIP Kids. So I tried to make the lessons match up with where they were coming from. So typically with each lesson for the younger units, I will have a little button down here to play a little warm-up song. I was changing them all the time at the beginning with each new lesson, but what I'm thinking is to go and to make it the same one for at least that first part of the unit, or for 5 lessons, and then the next 5 lessons to change it. That way they'll be able to practice the song more and get familiar with it before going on to another one. And if you don't want to open it up here, you can also click right here, which is going to open it in a separate window. Then going on, I, of course, usually start off with what we're going to be going through. So this will change from time to time, depending on the lesson, what's being covered. You can click on any of them, it's going to jump you right over to it. If I click at the top here, so there's the home button, that's going to bring you back to the table of contents. And then if I hit the little pen icon, it'll bring me to the end of the lesson where there's a little drawing slide itself. So you can, of course, use the Flip the Classroom pen here, or if you'd like, you can use koalas. And what you notice is koalas seems to be a lot more precise. So when I'm like in the lesson itself, that's one reason why I kind of like koalas a little better than the Genially one. For whatever reason, it's just a little more intuitive for when I'm. Emily?
Yeah, I just wondered, have you ever considered doing a yearly subscription to up your subscriber count?
I have
and
just
also get
added
some
that in.
bulk. Oh, okay. Never mind.
So for people who started off, when I had first launched, I had only X amount of lessons. As a thank you, I had given them a cheaper option. Now for the regular price is $16 US per month. Now, if you wanted to save on that, you can pay $150 for a yearly subscription. So of course, right now that would be under $2 per lesson with what I have at the moment. But I'm always going to be increasing with new lessons, new flashcards, new content. So that will lower down. Honestly, like I said, I'm not being paid or anything to talk Koala up. It's just that what I loved about them, when they contacted me, we've had some meetings, Xavier and I, and he and his team have a really focus on the teaching community and also, of course, on content creators too, with the marketplace coming up. And so I love the possibilities for the future here.